Tim, your adventures on the show floor just never cease to amaze. Thank you again for that update from the Namco Bandai booth. Right now I'm joined by Gabrielle from Ubisoft, who's here to show us a little bit of Ghost Recon Future Soldier. Gabrielle, thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having us.
How's your E3 going so far?
Fantastic.
Yeah? People are excited for Future Soldier. Probably, I would assume, Joel McHale at the top of that list. He had nothing but glowing things to say during that press conference.
He did. I think backstage he was going a little crazy.
I would imagine shaking hands. I would assume. So let's take a look. You've brought a video along here.
This is going to share the live demo of the walkthrough with you.
Sure.
There are a couple. We skipped through the map, so there are a couple fade in, fade outs. It's normal. We just want to show you the hot spots.
Cool. Let's get that video running right now, guys.
Okay.
It'll happen. Live internet television is filled with magic and wonder. Things like this.
I can tell you that the setting is Northern Europe, or the European coastline, and the ghosts, who are the spearhead of every operation, they're sent in ahead of a U.S. convoy, and they need to clear the beach. So we're looking about 10, 15 years into the future right here. And the first thing you'll see is our optical camouflage feature. All of the prototypes of the weapons that we'll see in game are actual prototypes that are being developed by U.S. Subcontractors like Natick and DARPA. And of course the Clancy brand is all about the authentic small infantry, elite tactical warfare. And so the optical camo is not just for sneaking up on people. It makes for a really interesting game loop, whereas you can use it in the middle of a firefight, and instead of having to kill everyone in sight, you could drop out, go dark, and try to reposition yourself and try another tactical approach. But here we see mostly recon at first.
So you're telling me this optical camo is actually being developed by military contractors right now? That's slightly frightening to me.
It is. That was a little look at the Crosscom, which is still the nexus of all the combat systems. It gives you real-time intel. And here the ghosts have spotted a war criminal, and they're the only spec op forces that are mandated to change their objectives in accordance with real-time intel. So they've decided to take this guy down, and they're going to mount a stealth operation, because of course if they start shooting up everywhere, they're going to be massively outnumbered.
Right.
We want to really give the player the feeling that they're constantly being accompanied by extremely experienced special operations warriors. These guys know each other. It's a brotherhood. They work together like a family. So whether you're playing with the AIs or in 4-player co-op, because we're really excited to announce that this game is going to be full 4-player co-op through the solo campaign.
And so the optical camo, is that like something that's pretty consistent throughout the entire campaign, or is it mainly this particular level that we're seeing here?
All the ghosts will have access to use it, also in adversarial on multiplayer. Obviously, it's not a superpower, so this guy's got thermal. He's got thermal goggles on. That's one of the things that is very dangerous for them. We've got a lot more close quarter combat moves in the game.
What sort of futuristic weapons are we going to see in this game?
We've got you'll see in the next part of the map, the MRB, the Modular Rifle Bullpup, and we're looking at about 30 plus attachments for it, so you're prepared for any insane combat situation. It's definitely the fetish ghost weapon.
Great.
And there will also be, for instance, EMP grenades. You can take intel off of you.
It looks like, I mean, the pace of this is very, very deliberate, very tense. Is that consistent with the rest of the game, or are we going to encounter like real big epic shootouts?
You'll see, they're epic shootouts.
The answer will be provided.
The ghost tradition is to go in tactically, give yourself time, do some planification. You could go in all guns blazing, but it's not a run and gun. The point is, it's all about the tactics. But you don't have to go in with the stealth. This is where we're going to mount a synchronized attack. It's one of the key features in the game. So the player's going to line up his teammates, and you'll see their line of sight as they target each of the tangos, so that you can drop behind the guy and bag him and take him alive.
Now, in addition to this level that we're seeing here in Northern Europe, I would imagine the game's a pretty globe-hopping affair. Are we going to see many different locales, many different countries?
Yeah, definitely. A lot of variety in the locations, for sure. It's Northern Europe, Central Asia, Middle East. So they've bagged Daniel Kaminsky, nice war criminal. Very nice guy. So in this section, this is where you see the MRB.
Okay.
There you go. Actual prototyped weapon. And there's an incoming Russian drone. So in the future, on the battlefields of tomorrow, the drones and robotics are going to be the game changers. So not only are the ghosts going to have to take on drones on the enemy side, but they will also be able to use their own ground drones and aerial drones to get intel, to give air support, mobile cover, another synchronized attack.
This is not going to end well.
No.
Oh. It's going to make it a little bit tougher to fly that helicopter.
So obviously the spec up guys are more mature. They're about 10 years older than most of the infantry guys. Collectively, they have sometimes 50 years of ground experience. And it's all about giving you that feeling that you're head and shoulders above all the other shoulders out there. There's a new cover swap system. All kinds of different ways to get over and around. And all of the covers are destructible, so you cannot stay still. You've got to keep moving. So it makes for a much more intense visceral experience than the previous opuses.
Yeah, I'm seeing the wood is actually chipping off, and we're seeing like chunks of wood and splinters flying all over the place.
Sure. The Russian drum's going to swing around with a 50 cal and start blowing all things to hell.
So we've got a number of audience questions coming in. Let's take a look at these right now.
Sure. There's just a small epilogue.
If I can get this computer working, which hopefully, once we do have futuristic technology like what we're seeing in this game, we'll have a reliable computer.
It's okay, we've got 10, 15 years ahead of us. You see in the last scene, the infantry shows up finally, the convoy, and they're going to get all the credit for getting Kaminsky. So the ghosts don't even exist for their own teams. It's all about deniability. They're just in there. They're the professionals. They do their job. Get in, get out. The point is to prevent the war before it can happen.
So you hinted at multiplayer earlier. What are you guys able to tell us about that at this point?
I can only tell you that we're looking at 6-on-6 adversarial.
6-on-6?
And you will have access to your optical camouflage whenever you please. You obviously can't move too fast, take shots, blast, light, anything's going to interfere with it, and of course counter intel. But we'll also be playing with drones in the multiplayer.
Nice.
So both teams will have their aerial drones and their ground drones.
Do you know how much feedback from the last Ghost Recon game has factored into development of this one?
Yes, we have very demanding fans. And we have pushed back the date so that we can get in all the features that we really, really want to make this the game that Ghost Recon fans will be talking about for a decade.
Right. Oh yeah, I would imagine.
Yeah, so a lot of the feedback, definitely, we listen to our fans, and we've been trying to keep it the authentic Tom Clancy universe. So almost a documentary approach. You know, he had such an incredible grasp of geopolitics, and we work with the U.S. Army's operational environment of the future program that looks about what the landscape, geopolitical landscape, is going to be in about 2030. And it's not black and white anymore. It's not going to be Russians versus U.S. It's not going to be China's versus U.S. So the ghosts have to go into a mission with a basic brief, and then based on the intel they get, almost like a crime scene, figure out what's going on, who the enemies on the ground are working for, and get the job done.
Sean Murphy from Neston is wondering, with cloaking in the game, does that make things a little too easy? Like, how do you balance out the difficulty with your ability to go invisible at will? I guess you mentioned that one of the enemies had thermal goggles,
Yes.
so they can still see you even when you're cloaked. So you
Yes.
kind of still have to figure out the best route to approach
Yes,
it, right?
definitely. The enemies will have ways to spot you with the optical camouflage. It is in no way infallible.
It is not the win button that you might assume it is.
No, it's not. And again, that interesting game loop that it provides is that if you're in the middle of the firefight, you're going to be hugely overwhelmed sometimes. You don't necessarily want to have to take out an entire army. So you're going to be able to drop out of a firefight, move around and reposition yourself. So it really makes for a more dynamic and compelling gameplay.
We have a variety of fans writing in wondering about the possibility of a multiplayer beta.
Ah, yes, of course. Yes, there will be a multiplayer beta, and all the guys that bought Splinter Cell Conviction will be the first on the beta for sure.
All right. Any idea when that's going to happen?
I'm not sure.
Not quite sure.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. What other kinds of questions do we have coming in? Oops. Carl D. from Dublin is wondering if any of the ghosts are named Casper.
Sounds like a good nickname to me. You know, we work with a lot of ex-Special Forces guys, and he said that most of the time they're really jokes. I mean, these guys really take the piss out of each other. So
Yeah.
I would not be surprised if there's someone out there named Casper. It would be very fitting.
Casper, the friendly ghost, who's so friendly he goes invisible and shoots you in the back of the head.
Yes. We like irony.
Nick from Slovenia is wondering, how does this game tie in with the rest of the Tom Clancy universe, stuff that exists outside of maybe the Ghost Recon franchise specifically?
Well, the squad gameplay is an important part of Rainbow 2, so there are very similar elements to them, but they have their specificities. They're all about the Tom Clancy is the authentic military experience of gaming, much more about the tactical gameplay, the approaches, less about the running and gunning, not just the linear cinematographic experience, and that's common to all of our games, all of the Tom Clancy universe games.
Looks like we're getting some questions from people who might have missed the beginning of the demo, specifically when you talked about co-op. There is going to be 4-player co-op, guys.
Co-op, yeah, you and 3 of your buddies, for sure. Drop in, drop out. Hallelujah.
Let's see. Ooh, what do we got here? Mike from Long Island is wondering, is there any sort of time limit to how long you can remain invisible? Or can you go as long as you like?
No, it's not a battery issue. It's more an issue of it's being prototype material, extremely expensive. It's not quite, it's about 95% infallible. But again, you've got to move more slowly. It can get glitchy, and people can throw interference at it. But the ghosts will always have countermeasures to get the intel off of them and be able to use it again. And all of the ghosts will have access to the optical camo all the time.
All right. Gabriel from Romania is wondering roughly how long, any idea how long the campaign will be?
Looking about 10 to 15 hours on the solo campaign, for sure.
So that's a pretty good length of time for a game that also includes multiplayer.
Yes.
Let's see. Wheeler from US is wondering, is the multiplayer beta going to come to the PlayStation 3?
Xbox 360.
Xbox 360.
Yes, as far as I know.
Okay.
Sorry.
You guys are doing, I think, there's an exclusive PlayStation 3 Assassin's Creed Brotherhood beta, I think I heard, was some news of the show. So, you know, Ubisoft is still showing love to the PlayStation 3.
Yes.
Kay Kenter from the Netherlands is wondering, is the game difficulty going to be on par with previous Ghost Recon titles?
Is that a question as if he wants the difficulty to be on par, or was it too difficult? The command system, we're going to do less micromanagement. So the idea is to make it much more dynamic, and to give you the impression that the AIs that are with you are very smart. You know, you can't have these guys making stupid decisions when they're supposed to be representing the most elite team of special operations forces. So they're going to give you tactical info on the fly as you move through all the maps. What else can I tell you?
All right. We're actually out of time, but I have to ask this last question. It's not really a question, it's a statement. Dr. Peter Venkman from Ghostbusters headquarters says, "I ain't afraid of no ghosts." So, Gabrielle, thank you for joining us. When is Ghost Recon going to be out in stores, and what are the platforms it'll be out for?
Spring 2011. Xbox 360, PS3, PC, of course, and we're also looking at a Nintendo 3DS version and a Wii version as well.
All right, thank you again.
My pleasure.
Appreciate
Thanks
your
for
time.
having us.
Sure, definitely. All right, guys, that's going to do it for Ghost Recon Future Soldier. Now let's see what's going on with some indie titles here at E3 2010.